All right, let's tackle one of the biggest puzzles in modern football, Chelsea. We're talking about a club that spends hundreds of millions on world-class talent, but somehow consistently finds itself out of the title race. So what is really going on? Let's break it down.
I mean, you look at their roster on paper, and it's absolutely packed. The potential is there, but week after week, the results just don't line up with the price tags. It's the kind of thing that drives fans crazy and has pundits scratching their heads. So what gives? Why can't this team find the consistency to challenge at the very top?
And look, the answer isn't something simple. It's not just a string of bad luck or a temporary dip in form. The analysis we're digging into today suggests the problems are systemic. They're buried deep inside the team's DNA, both tactically and mentally. So, our investigation starts with a really critical weakness, a lack of discipline. And to understand it, we're going to zoom in on one single moment that tells a much, much bigger story. Let's talk about that Moises Caicedo red card. You probably remember it, because that wasn't just a mistimed tackle. No, it was a symptom of a much deeper issue that plagues this whole team, a total lack of control when the pressure is on. See, this wasn't just a physical mistake, it was a mental one. This moment showed all the classic signals of low game intelligence. Pure emotional frustration boiling over, lunging into a tackle that just wasn't necessary, and a complete failure to read the game and control the tempo. These are the small things that end up deciding big games.
And here's why that's so crucial. It was tactical irresponsibility. As the team's anchor, Caicedo's entire job is to be the calm in the storm, the one who provides structure and stability. By lunging in like that, he did the exact opposite. He threw the team's shape out the window for a moment of personal frustration.
You know, a single red card sets off this catastrophic domino effect. You can see it happen in real time. First, the team is immediately forced into a desperate tactical reshuffle. That in turn completely exposes the backline. Then as everyone's scrambling, morale just plummets. And just like that, you've handed all the momentum over to the other team. It's a self-inflicted wound that often decides the match.
Now, this kind of indiscipline, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It points to a much wider, more pervasive issue, a real lack of emotional maturity across the entire squad.
Just look at this comparison. It's night and day. On one side, you have the truly elite teams like City and Arsenal. They're calm, tactical, and controlled. Then you have Chelsea, who are impulsive and emotional. While the contenders manage the game, Chelsea tries to force moments, and they lose their shape when things get tough. This mental gap is what separates a title winner from a top-4 hopeful.
Okay, so on top of the mental side, the third major problem that comes up is just total chaos in squad management. If the players are all over the place mentally, well, that's only being amplified by the constant chopping and changing on the team sheet.
Yeah, the rotation at Chelsea doesn't feel proactive. It feels reactive, almost desperate. You've got key players who are run into the ground until they're exhausted and making mistakes. The formation seems to change every other week, so players never get the chance to build real chemistry. And on top of all that, they're relying way too heavily on young, inexperienced players to handle the insane pressure of the Premier League. It's a recipe for total instability.
All right, so let's pull it all together. We have a lack of discipline, a lack of emotional maturity, and chaotic team selection. Now let's connect those dots and see exactly how they combine to absolutely kill any dream of a title challenge.
First, and this one's pretty obvious, all of this leads directly to dropping unnecessary points. Just think about it. A reckless red card here, an impulsive mistake there, a late goal conceded because of a mental lapse, it all adds up over a 38-game season. You know how title-winning teams are famous for grinding out ugly wins? Well, Chelsea, right now, finds ways to lose or draw those exact same games.
Second, this chaos just creates a complete lack of stability right where it matters most, the spine of the team. You just cannot win a league title without a disciplined midfield and a settled backline that know each other inside and out. But at Chelsea, every single game feels like a new experiment. There's no solid foundation to build on. Third, and this is huge, they have zero psychological dominance. Opponents are scared to play Manchester City. Why? Because they know City are mentally relentless and they won't make silly mistakes. They just don't fear Chelsea in the same way. In fact, teams know they can rattle Chelsea. They know that if you apply enough pressure, they're likely to crack. You can't win a title if your opponents aren't afraid of you. And finally, it all comes down to broken momentum. Momentum is the absolute lifeblood of any title campaign. But it seems like every single time Chelsea looks like they're building something positive, one of these self-inflicted wounds pops up. A red card, a tactical collapse, a crisis of confidence. The cycle just repeats itself, and any progress they make comes to a grinding halt.
So, after all that, what's the final verdict here? It really boils down to the massive, massive gulf between simply having a squad full of talented individuals and being a truly elite team.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. The Premier League is a marathon. It demands relentless, week-in, week-out consistency. And right now, Chelsea simply cannot sustain anything. Not excellence, not momentum, not even basic composure for any meaningful period of time. So the big takeaway is this. A title-winning team is built on these 5 pillars. The real question for Chelsea isn't about buying the next shiny player. It's whether they can finally build a culture that actually embodies structure, maturity, and discipline. Because until they do, they'll just be a collection of expensive players, not a true title challenger. And you have to wonder, how much longer are they willing to wait?